Okay, I hear you. You bought a house in the last 3 years. Your interest rate wasn't as good as it could have been 4 years ago, but you still got a pretty good one. Or maybe you were told that you could refinance at some point. Now, if that was promised to you, I'm sorry. But here's the deal. You don't want to live in the home that you just purchased within the last 3 years. I'm getting this call over and over and over again, and you have to be really creative right now to make that sale of the home you don't want profitable. So we're going to talk about some strategies. We're going to talk about what I'm telling people, what I'm seeing in the market next. What's up, guys? I'm Jeremy Kane with eXp Realty, living in the Denver suburbs, over on YouTube, on all the socials, JKCO Realtor, and excited to bring this one to you. While you're here, throw me a like, a comment, a wave if you're over on IG. But just want to have this conversation and have this engagement really take off. 2025 is going to be an amazing year in the real estate market. However, we do need to have some strategy behind it. That's what I love to do. I love to build strategies with clients, with buyers, with sellers, with investors to absolutely build wealth through real estate. So if you like any of that, you can book a call with me. You can always reach out. My cell phone's in the description here, and comment, DM, all the things. But let's get to it. So I'm having this conversation. I'm seeing this happen over and over and over again. Literally every single day for the last 4 days, I've had this exact call. Hey, Jeremy, bought this house, bought it in 22. We absolutely don't want to live here. We have to move back home. The house is too big, it's too small. There's something wrong with it. Well, here's the deal. After the massive appreciation we've seen pretty much my whole career in real estate, it's a really hard conversation to say, well, we may have to sell it for less than you bought it for, or even, if you bought it 2-3 years ago, the same price that you bought it for. And I will tell you that we're hovering right around there, right? I have somebody that bought a house in April of 2024 that wants to move. I have somebody that bought a house in 23 and 22 and want to move, right? It's pretty much the same. People are like, well, how could it lose value? Well, the truth is, losing value is one thing. We're pretty close, and sometimes we can push it with some improvements and things like that. You're not going to get dollar for dollar, but maybe we get $25,000, $30,000 more than you bought it for. Well, it does cost money to sell a house. A listing agent does cost, a certain percentage. I don't work for free. I have to feed my family. I will work with you, however. But also there's a buyer's agent. Well, I saw the news, and the buyer's agent, you don't have to pay him anymore. Well, it's not necessarily you don't have to pay them. It just has to be a conversation. And having a buyer's agent has its perks. That's not what this video is about. The end goal is, hey, we're here. We can sell it for what you bought it for. We can sell it for 10 under what you bought it for. We can sell it for 25 over what you bought it for. At the end of the day, depending on the price point, you may have to take a little hit. Now, if you put 20% down and, the situation's so much that you have to move, that's, tolerable. It's not ideal, but tolerable. But you have down payment assistance. You're in a position where you maybe can't move. You can't make that move. You can't sell it. So then we have to look at other options. So as we kind of have these conversations, that's exactly what I want to say is let's have these options. So why is this happening? Well, the appreciation definitely slowed. We had a lot of overpaying going on, even into last year, where people were getting, hurried, getting rushed. This is the house, I have to have it, offering a little bit more than list. Sellers holding on to that and making sure that, this is exactly where we have to buy it. And they were kind of pushing around. It's been a seller's market. It still is technically, and they hold a lot of the cards. So in essence, some people overpaid, not like 21, 22, but 23, 24, 25, we're starting to see, okay, well, maybe that's the case. Sellers are standing their ground. We want the house. We have to have the house. We have to have a place to live. And so we made those offers. Just because you made the offer and it appraised doesn't mean that that's the exact value that it's going to hold. The appraisal is one human's opinion of the price at that specific moment based on what's going on. That's not a price tag. That's not something that, we can even use at this stage of the game. And so as we continue to push forward here, we're like, okay, that's why this is happening. The appreciation really slowed. We did have some people that bought for what it was worth, and it just ticked up a little bit. We do have some people that overpaid, and we're still ticking up a little bit, catching up to that pace. And so regardless, we have to step back and say, okay, this is a life, this is a house you have to live in. What are our options? How serious is it? Can we wait a little bit, right? Or do we have to move now? We have to get back to X state. We have to do whatever we need to do to sell. How much should we put down? Do we have down payment assistance? All of those things come into play, and then we can make a strategy. Here's your 3 options. Overall, please reach out, book a call with me. If you are in this situation, you're like, yeah, I may want to move. What's that look like? It's possible, but I'm telling you, we have to be very strategic based on the home selling in your house and what's going on. So option 1, keep your current house as a rental, leverage any equity. Maybe you put more than 20% down or something like that. Leverage any of the equity to move forward, or savings, or, stocks, or whatever you might have in order to move forward with another home. Now, one thing is, if you didn't put a lot of money down, you're probably in a higher interest rate. And so how much does that need to move balance out what you can rent the house out for? If you put a little bit down and you're in an extremely high interest rate and you have a $700,000 home, we're going to be hard pressed to rent that thing out for $45,000, $5,000, whatever your mortgage is. However, if you're getting some of it back, maybe the circumstances limit that. So we'll look at all of that. What's it look like to rent it? What are the options? I will tell you right now, I tried to sell my first home that I bought in 2019 for pretty much what I bought it for. It was a bad time. I didn't buy it in 2019. I bought it when I was 19, but it was a bad time and we couldn't sell it. Thank goodness we didn't, because I held on to it. I rented it out. I fought through it. I paid, the little extra that I had to pay to make the mortgage every month when it was renting for less than my mortgage. And now that house has turned into 7 doors, an extremely lucrative rental portfolio. And that's the key. So maybe that's the case. Maybe we take a little bit of a hit for a long-term gain. Or maybe you rent it out, you're paying $200-$300 a month extra to make that mortgage, and when the market hits, you're ready to sell it. And if we do it in the next 2 years, maybe you have some tax advantages that won't be there past that. We're looking at all of these things as an option to get you into the home that you want to live in, right? And so that's 1A. If I had it my way, this is a terrible career, verse for me, but I would have you never sell a house that I helped you buy, because it's been what it meant to me, and the wealth that I've built through that is absolutely key. That's not for everyone. Not everyone has an amazing wife that can manage the properties like my wife does, but regardless, that's the thing, is what can we do to get you to the situation that you want to be in? Okay, if that's not an option, I don't want to be a rental, I'm in a mortgage that I can't rent it out, I just got to cut ties, I got to go. Well, how bad do you need to move? What's your timeline? Because I am telling people, if you can wait until this first wave comes with the new administration, the budding economy, I will tell you my phone is ringing more and more, a lot with these calls, but also with buyer calls. The more buyers that we have in the market, the hopefully that'll give you that little kick so that you can break even and get the money you put into it back. Maybe that happens by June. Right? Maybe it doesn't. It just depends on what goes on. It doesn't look like the interest rates are going to come down a whole lot. But depending on your need, we can work through that and make that work for you. The next thing, right, is we can certainly sell and buy. Maybe a little loss here, but maybe you get a good deal. Maybe you get a concession on this end. Before the market goes crazy, maybe we list your house, we get what we can for it. You're okay with losing a little bit or breaking even or whatever that looks like. And then at the end of the day, we step up and we say, okay, we're going to get into something and I'm going to get a little bit of a break on that one, on the next one, because the market is still a little bit slower than we're used to, less than multiple offers, all the things. And so if the house fits, we can be very strategic with how that goes. Now, putting it on the market at a high price and seeing what you get, we can talk about that strategy, but that's up to you. Now, I want you to all listen to this part right here. There is a ton of creative financing options out there. subject to, creative financing, owner carry, whatever they disguise it as. I want you to be extremely careful with those situations you get into. They are great products for people that fully understand the liabilities they're getting into. They're absolutely wealth destroying and, could be extreme financial destroying if you don't understand the risk and you don't understand what you're doing. If anyone approaches you with a letter saying, sign me over, I'll just take over the payments, it's a subject to. While it's a great creative option for some, it's a terrible option for most. And so please reach out to me if you have any questions on that. Please seek legal counsel if you get those offers. But I want to make sure that creative financing is approached cautiously, because there are a lot of weird things going on that usually don't turn out well for you as the seller, unless, it's an extreme case. So here's my suggestion for the general group. Let's just continue to stay in contact. Please reach out if you're in this situation, like, hey, we need to get rid of this as soon as we can, but I'm willing to wait a little bit. Let's get you on at least a search so that you see houses coming on the market. You can keep an eye. You can see the traction and things that are going on. I can keep an eye on the price. I can call the agent and see what they went under contract for when they did. At least get an idea for you to kind of watch the market, because there will come a time in the near future where, okay, that's the threshold. We can do that. We can break even, or we can walk away with 10,000 or whatever, in profit. And if that's the case and you have a little bit of time, let's be extremely strategic about it, because here's what happens on the other side. I think we're going to see a much more seasonal cycle. So if, the market peaks in June and then you're like, okay, perfect, that's what it is, and then it goes back down, well, we could be in the same boat, right? Where we had 2 to 3% appreciation, not a great year, not a terrible year. And then you're ready in January, you're like, okay, I really got to move. Well, then we're still down from that. The comps, or go back 6 months, are trickling down back towards that kind of baseline that we're at. So let's talk about it. Let's have the conversation. If you're in a house that you don't want to be in, whether you bought it 3 years ago or 50 years ago, let's have a conversation. But it's going to require some strategic work. And I give you my word that it'll absolutely give you the information and allow you to make that decision. There's no pressure here, no pushing, no, we need to list right now, we need to sell this right now. It's not how I roll. So please reach out and book a call with me, or send me a DM if that's where you're at. At the end of the day, please be aware that this is happening. The market is loosening up. People are ready to roll. People are absolutely looking to make moves, and that's good for you, especially if you bought in the last 3 years and you're struggling with that exit strategy. I got the strategy, but it's specific to you, and I would love to talk to you about it. So I hope this helps. This is actually what's going on. The phone is ringing a ton. People are sick of waiting. Buyers are sick of waiting for interest rates to drop. Sellers are sick of waiting for that appreciation spike. And we're going to have a lot of transactions. We're going to have a lot of deals. People are going to make a lot of moves in 2025. So please like, comment, subscribe, shoot me a DM. Would love to chat with you about your situation. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.